Did you know that according to Mental Health UK's Burnout report, 91% of UK adults experienced high or extreme levels of pressure or stress in the past year, leading to 1 in 5 workers in the UK needing to take time off work in that period. So if you feel demotivated, tired and trapped in your work, you're not alone. The question is, what are you going to do about it? So stick around and I'll give you practical steps that you can start applying today to get out of your current burnout, and at the end I'll reveal how to avoid burnout long term and get that fire going in your belly again. First off, let's get something straight. Burnout isn't just for the weak or for the overachievers. No, it believes in total equality, so it destroys everyone just the same. It's like that monster under your bed, except that it's real, it's under your desk and it eats your motivation for breakfast. Burnout isn't just about being tired, so a nap and a cold beer won't really fix it. And if you're in doubt whether you've hit the burnout point yet, here are some signs for you to look out for. Sign number 1, chronic fatigue. The ship has sailed with your energy on board, then it sank and then it rotted and it was eaten by mutant crabs at the bottom of the ocean. You're always tired, you go to sleep exhausted and you wake up tired too. Sign number 2, cynicism. Everything is a dark comedy to you and you keep cynically joking about it. It's just not funny, neither for you nor for people surrounding you. Sign number 3, low productivity. You feel like no matter how much you work, you're just spinning wheels in the mud. You try to fight through it, but your good friends, concentration and motivation, fell in battle and now you're all alone. And the only thing that you can do is buy some time for yourself through procrastination, so through things like booze, extra food and TV. And there are many more physical, emotional and behavioral symptoms. However, even if one of those that I just mentioned seems familiar to you, then just face the fact that you are or about to be in a burnout. In fact, I'm getting out of a burnout myself right now, which is why I decided to do the video. Luckily, it's not my first time, so I already know how to pull myself out of it. So the tips that I'm about to give you, I am actively applying to my own situation. So let's deal with it together. Here are some practical steps for you to deal with the burnout. Step number 1, learn to say no. Did you notice that as soon as you're in a burnout, somehow issues just start piling up faster? Everyone seems to flock to you with problems and requests like flies to a sweaty mule. And the more you try to dig yourself out of that pile of work and chores and commitments, it just keeps getting heavier. Don't worry, it's not the universe trying to kick you when you're down, it's just that you can't handle the normal turns of life as well as you could in your normal state. So until you get out of the burnout, you need to start prioritizing and saying no. And for some of us, it's a tough thing to do. I am in that category of anxious minds, the problem solvers, the crisis chasers. If there is an issue popping up, I have to try and fix it, even if it's not really my problem, and sometimes even if no one asked me for help in the first place. So if you're like me, then you try to fix things simply because you can. The cruel irony is that you actually can't. Not if you're going through the burnout. You will just get overwhelmed, all the other things will start falling behind, and you will get even more anxious trying to keep it all together. So you just have to reduce the amount of things you're handling at work, otherwise you just won't be able to cope. Of course, you won't be able to just abandon your work fully, but you can reduce the strain of it. And here are a few simple tricks to do it. Number 1. Keep your calendar blocked for long stretches of time and dedicate those slots to most important projects or tasks. Do not accept any new meetings during those blocks. Remember that your focus is terrible when you're in a burnout, so you have to allow yourself more time without distractions for the critical tasks. Also, it's important to block out your lunchtime in a calendar and never eat at your desk. Eat outside if it's warm or eat in a cafe, just don't do it in the office. Number 2. Delegate wherever possible. Delegation is one of the most important skills that you can ever learn. In fact, I have a great video on how to use delegation effectively, so do check it out. Now, when you're in a burnout, it is a great way to give yourself some breathing space. And you don't have to be a manager to delegate tasks. You can do it in a matrix structure too, and delegate at least partially to your peers. Number 3. The 9-to-5 rule. 9 to 5 has a very negative meaning these days. It's almost like a stigma, which is a whole different topic in itself. But when it comes to burnout, the 9-to-5 rule is important. Set the time for yourself when you finish work. It doesn't have to be 5 PM, it can be 6 PM or 7 PM, doesn't matter, whatever is sensible for your line of work. But as soon as you hit it, just stop. Many of us, me included, keep checking emails and responding to people in different time zones late in the evening or just very early in the morning. Just stop it. The world won't collapse if you stop for a little, but you might if you don't. And by the way, it applies to people running businesses too. Yes, entrepreneurship is a 24/7 thing, but if you burn out completely and collapse, your business won't really do great, now will it? With all that done, you can now go to step number 2, and that is change your environment. Do you find that you have a similar routine every day? Do you get off work, then follow exactly the same route to the train station, then to the grocery store, then home every single day? And on your weekends, do you just spend your time at home struggling to get out of bed, or just watching TV endlessly, maybe occasionally going to the gym at the same time every day? If that sounds somewhat familiar, maybe try to mix it up. Go for a walk that you haven't taken before, or at least for a while. Instead of the same old playlist, just load up some random playlist on Spotify or YouTube. Instead of the same old gym routine, book a boxing class, a HIIT class, or a yoga class. Instead of sitting at home, go to a cafe in the area of the city that you haven't been to before and read a book, picking a genre and an author that you haven't tried before. Change in the environment is important as it breaks the cycle of negative thoughts and established habits, and it kickstarts your mind again. Of course, a holiday in a place where you haven't been to before and with someone you can share your experience with would be ideal, but when that's not an option, the above also works. And then we go to step number 3. Remember what is important. With your workload reduced, your environment refreshed, and your mind starting to get less anxious, you now have a chance to recuperate and find your center again. Try to ask yourself the good old question on what is most important in your life, besides work, of course. Here is my personal, short and simple list of 2 items. Item number 1, health. Nothing can bring you joy when your health is failing. And this includes mental health too. Number 2, family and friends. Having people who I love and who love me is a priceless privilege. Now, your list may be somewhat different, more detailed and longer, of course, but I find that most people tend to arrive to a similar set of core values. Whatever you have on your list, that's what you should shift your focus to. If you have health concerns that you have been ignoring for a while because you've been so busy, just take care of them now. If your health is good, remember how lucky you are, because some people live in pain, can't walk, or are even in fight for their lives with some terrible illnesses. Be grateful that you got it easy. If you haven't been in touch with your good friends for a while, give them a call. That goes double for close family. Remember that we only have limited time with them on this earth. It's irreplaceable and something to be very grateful for too. As you might have noticed, I've mentioned gratitude a couple of times now. And that's because gratitude is a feeling that we tend to underrate as we focus on all of the negatives. Having gratitude for all the great things that you already have in your life will give you a sense of joy and strength that will help you to pull yourself out of the burnout. And finally, we arrive to step number 4, find your purpose. Now, the first 3 steps that I've given you are enough to get your engines going again in quite a short period of time and bring you back onto the racing track. However, this fix will be only temporary if you are racing in the wrong direction. You will end up in a pit stop trying to fix another burnout way sooner than you should. So, as I promised in the beginning, here is the secret to staving off burnouts for a much longer time. And that is that you have to discover your purpose, your long-term goal or dream that determines the direction of your life, your North Star, so to speak, the one that shines above you no matter how dark it gets. If you already have it, then lucky you, you're now refueled and ready to keep speeding towards it. However, for those of us yet searching, there is one sure way to discover it, and that is to go through your own existential crisis. No time to get into the details here, but I do have a full awesome video on this, so check it out. It will explain how to reach your existential crisis and discover your purpose in one single step. And I'll leave a link for you in the description. But the short conclusion here is that if you do find your purpose, you will be getting into the burnout state way rarer, and also getting out of them will be way simpler for you. And luckily for me, I am already on my way out of my current burnout, and making this video was quite a helpful exercise for me. And I do hope that it was useful for you too. If it was, then please subscribe for more content like this. Also, do leave a like and a comment. It is important for the YouTube algorithm and therefore for this new channel too. I wish you all the best on your journey. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.